podcast, hosted by Jordan, Gabby, and Shayna, three friends who needed a creative outlet, wanted to get together and have a good time, and talk about the thrills, spills, and realness of motherhood.
Welcome to Mama Juice.
For our next episode, we are going to pick Melissa's brain about psychology questions. We're all very fascinated by psychology.
Maybe get some advice for, our lives.
Yeah,
I love it.
We want advice.
Free session. Yeah, here it is. Therapy session.
There we go. Okay. Well, so first I want to know, tell me a little bit about when you went to school and, what does that look like? And I also know that you went to something after school, or not after school, but I guess, I don't know if it was an internship, but it was where you worked for the court system and you worked with families and that kind of stuff, right?
Okay, so we'll just start from the jump. So I am a licensed mental health counselor, so I do my 4 years in undergrad and then 2 years in master's program. In order to, complete your master's successfully, you have to do a practicum and internship, you have to do X amount of hours. And then after that, so you graduate, yay, you have your degree. You're not a therapist yet. You have to register with the state of Florida or wherever you're residing, and you're a registered intern with the state. Now you have to get more hours in supervision, and then you can take your test, get your license. Don't quote me, I want to say, is it 1,000?
Wow.
That's a lot, yeah.
It's
I was
in
gonna
a minimum.
I was
you
gonna
have
guess
to do
1,000 and
it
1,200.
2 years.
Meaning you're
minimum of
working
2
for
years.
free? Or
No. You can get a job, but it's usually agency work. I mean, there's some interns that do private practice, but you get the most hours quickly in agency work. But agency work is a lot of overworked, underpaid situations. Government jobs.
Yeah.
So
what did you do for that?
So for my practicum and internship in my master's program, I worked at Zebra Coalition, and that was LGBTQ population from ages 13 to 24.
Okay.
A lot of experience there. That was great. Graduated, and then I did a lot of stuff with juveniles. I did a lot of, it was kind of contract work. I could make my own schedule, and I would go, and it's, a lot of people on probation, a lot of broken homes, a lot of absent parents, a lot of that kind of work.
Did you get a lot of success with it, or was it kind of
It was a court order,
I was
right?
It was a court order, part of their probation.
just
They
short
had to do
period?
counseling.
Okay.
Yeah, they had to do counseling. So you go, you do counseling, and then sign off. After that is where
It was their homes, right?
Yes,
Oh,
yes,
wow.
yes.
That's wild. To
I'm
me.
in the
Yes.
homes. I'm in.
But that's probably good, right? That
you kind of see
unsafe and then good that somebody's going in and
Yeah.
looking at the home because then
Yeah.
you can see the
Did you
picture.
They
of
were
their
kind of
home.
older. If they're on probation, they're usually not 9 and
Right,
10,
yeah.
right? That's where I think you see more of the home environment because they're
Yeah.
young kids. They're running, they're playing, they're interacting. These are teenagers, so they kind of know how to
Play.
compose
Play
themselves.
you. Yeah.
They're old enough. They've been in and out of the system, which is sad. But then one job I had, I was a therapist. It was called MST psychiatric program, so multi-systemic therapy. So I was a therapist, and we'd have 4 families maximum on our caseload. I was a family therapist, and a lot of the work was with the parents. So in these families, by the time they got to us, the kids have been on probation, they've had DCF cases, 1 or more open, they've done residential treatment, they've done all of it.
Yeah.
So the purpose of the program was to keep the children in the home and to empower the parents to, hey, this is how we discipline the children, this is how we take control back over the household, right? Because usually the kids they're running the house, right? There's then the parents feel helpless, they're frustrated, they're cursing, they're doing all the things. So it was a lot of work with parents and empowering them, giving them the tools to you can do this, you got this, right? How do you implement structure?
Is
How do you
there
implement
a
discipline?
thing that you saw that parents were lacking that was common, or do you think it was just strong-willed children in general, or do you think it was there was something going on with the parents that was they couldn't just their why is there chaotic or
okay. That's a good question. I think a lot of parents were in their own, so deep in their own stuff, they blame the child for everything.
Oh, okay.
Blame the child for everything. The kid is doing this. They're sneaking out. They're going here. They're this. They're that. So that. I'm like, okay, so what do you do when they do that? They're like, oh, well, or what do you not do? Is a big thing too. They're like, hey, if there's a little bit of peace, I'm gonna kind of let it slide. I'm like, we gotta like maintain. We gotta get some control back, right? Because you're just like not saying anything and then expecting your child to have consistent results.
Right.
You're going to be disappointed. You're gonna be let down, right? Like you have a 15-year-old girl who is stealing your gun because they know it's valuable to get a ride to Tampa.
Did you see this? Maybe. I know you can't say.
No identifying
Hypothetical.
information.
Yes,
No
yes.
identifying information,
Yes.
right?
Hypothetical.
Yes, like working with families, and that's really hard. Like she was smart, she was resourceful, and then you had to like learn to empower the parents. Like, okay, she really wants love.
Yeah.
She
And
secretly
attention.
is craving structure. You're not stripping her freedoms, but giving her structure shows that you give a shit about her.
Yeah.
And right now
By
she feels
ignoring
like
her.
you don't give a shit about
Yeah.
her. And so she's like, I am going to run amok and I am going to do my thing because what do you guys care?
You notice it when I act out.
Yeah, right. Like
And how-
any attention is good attention, right?
How hard was it being young though, like talking to
Yeah.
grown parents
That's
with
scary.
this information? Yeah.
It's
Or
hard.
was it not? Because you had authority.
It is hard. I luckily, because there's other therapists my age, I luckily had the kind of foot to stand on. They're like, what do you know? I'm like, I got 2 stepkids of my own.
Yeah.
You know, like,
Okay.
I don't know everything.
Yeah.
I know some, right? Like, sure, they're young at the time, but it gave me some credibility.
Sure.
So I was thankful
Yeah,
for
that's
that.
Just
good.
a kid.
Yeah, I'm not
that's
just
good.
like, what do you know? Like, you don't even have kids
Right,
yet.
right.
So that was a big saving grace.
Yeah, that is nice. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
They should just lie. Be like, I've got
Yeah.
20 kids
Fire
at
out.
home.
12
Yeah.
kids.
All teenagers.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I
no,
think a
that's
lot
so
of
great.
it too is parents are so frustrated. It's hard to take a step back and like they forgot to highlight the good things that their kids were doing. If they met curfew, if they didn't break any rules, like there was no praise.
Yeah.
You're just like, oh well, this is what they should be
Praise.
doing. They're expected to do this,
Yeah.
so they should be doing this. I'm like, no, that should be voiced. You're quick to jump on them when they do something wrong. Why can't we do that when they do something good or something like? When we're trying to change a behavior, we're trying to praise what we want to see more of. We don't want to just harp on them. Right?
You oversee it quick.
Right.
And it's just
Like, I don't know if I remember when I was a teenager, right? Like, I hated feeling like I was being nagged.
Yeah.
Like, I'm not going to do it. If you ask me 50 times,
Yeah.
I'll do it when I want,
I'm a
right?
nagger.
And sometimes I wish, like, my parents were like, hey, stronghold, you're not going anywhere until you clean your room. Like, I wasn't taking firearms and, you know,
Sure.
trading them for a ride or whatever. But, you know, you're like, okay, some boundaries and some structure. Like, this is how the real world works. Like,
Yes.
you can't go to work, or you can't just sit home from work for 13 days and expect a 14-day paycheck on
Right.
the last day you decide to show
And you
up.
can't survive
Right.
without your job.
Right. So a lot of that was like, we had to like really take a step back and reteach fundamentals.
Did it help?
Super nanny.
Yeah.
Super
Nanny vibes,
Super
right?
nanny.
I love that
True.
show.
Yeah.
Yes.
I
I
love
literally was when you were talking about this earlier. I swear to God, I was thinking.
And
Super
that's
Oh my
what
god,
it
I
is.
remember watching Super Nanny and I was
So
like,
good.
I remember as a kid being like, I fucking love Super
I
Nanny.
know. I love that show too. It's so good. My friend that I knew since I was 5, we'd watch it all the time.
Yeah.
together.
Well, because you know what?
Right.
She is
Super
fun.
Nanny's the best.
She's a fun lady. She gets to
Yeah.
come in and she like restructures things to be fun and like make the kids feel special
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
heard and seen
And they do
and
that.
with structure and like, hey, you know what? We go to bed because we care about our bodies.
Yeah.
We go.
We need
do.
rest.
We do this because, and not you go to bed because I'm done. Or no,
because
you know?
I'm telling you to do it.
Yeah.
You have to explain it like, and a big thing too is teaching parents like what's age appropriate.
That's what's hard.
You're teaching
'Cause
right,
I don't even know. I'm
Right.
like, what does my kid understand
right.
at this
Like
age?
you're
I don't
talking to
know.
a teenager and you're rationalizing with them like they're an adult and their brain is fully developed
Yeah.
like an adult's brain. Like
But they don't teach us that
'Cause-
as parents. Like, how are we supposed to know
We
this?
don't, we don't go through parent classes.
Yeah,
right. You're
I
just
mean,
becoming a parent.
they're like teens are little narcissists. So
Yeah.
it'd be like, how
So
do you
are
deal with the
toddlers.
narcissist?
And
you,
that's what
you
I-
make things seem like their ideas,
Yeah.
right? It'd
And
be
it's
like,
not even that they're narcissists, they're egocentric.
Yeah, you get that,
Their
yeah.
whole world
Yeah, I
is
mean,
about them.
yeah.
They're not thinking, they're not like the most empathetic, right? They're like, does this benefit me in
They're
this
taking
moment
this
or
away
does
from
it
me,
not,
yeah.
right? Like, it doesn't, so I don't care about
and
it.
there's no long-term
Yeah.
thoughts.
Sure.
Right.
Yeah.
They're in the short term.
Sure.
This is
Yeah.
their world. They want something. It's immediate gratification,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
Like there's no long term gratification. There is like I want to go to this party with my friends, so I'm gonna go. I'm gonna find a way. I'm gonna sneak out. I'm gonna open this window.
Yeah.
I'm gonna call this
Yeah.
guy for this ride.
This
blah,
is
blah,
so
blah.
important.
Yeah,
And
I have
I'm
alcohol in the
gonna-
world traded
I
from my
bet
parents'
you better
cabinet.
be.
Right.
And
Yeah.
how
Yeah.
resourceful
Yeah.
they
Yeah.
are.
Yeah.
Yes.
Which is something like
Lies
if
we
you
would do.
think about it, you're like, okay, from an adult standpoint, you're like, wow, you are really resourceful.
Yeah.
That okay, it can be a scary
Problem
thing,
solving.
but it can also be something that we praise. Like you are really smart, and one day, if we can learn how to channel
Yeah.
this as parents,
positive
this is
way.
going to be really good,
So,
right?
I've always said that I think that teens are like an untapped resource, okay? I think like 14, 18. We should, part of their schooling should be required to go to like town meetings, city halls, school administration
Sure.
meetings, all those very boring things that none of us go to that we should go to
Yeah.
because
Yeah,
there's a
right.
lot of information that
Yeah.
happens there. We should literally force them
It's
to
part
go
of their school, yeah.
because they will report back. They'll tell everybody.
Yeah.
They will tell everybody what happened. There's all these eyes on it. And then they need something that makes them feel like they are part of the bigger community.
They'll report
And
it
it's
if
like
it
putting it
interests
back.
them, right? If it interests them.
Yeah.
Well, but if it interests them because it's part of their school, but how we flip it, in my opinion, would, I mean, obviously not every kid that goes is going
Sure,
to be all
sure.
in, right? But there will be a group of them, okay? Because it will be that they have information I don't have. They get to tell me what's going on, and they get to kind of like oversee adults that do a lot of city hall meetings. They pass things because nobody goes and nobody
Yeah.
pays attention. And that's their thing, is like
Yeah.
they hope nobody pays attention.
Right.
They hope nobody shows up.
Yeah.
I go send 40 15-year-olds, and then now we have a bunch of loud mouth
yeah.
social media.
people. They all go tell everybody. I feel like they will feel
Like,
like
you
they're
can tell them,
empowered.
whip your phone out.
It
Yeah.
gives
record.
it gives them purpose, right?
It gives them purpose,
Yeah.
and now I am too busy. I can't go there.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
I know they be doing sneaky stuff. So like, you go, you tell me those sneaky
Yeah.
stuff. Also, go tell everybody. You're
Yeah.
so loud. You want to
Yeah.
report. You want to gossip.
Yeah.
Go.
But that's a
gossip
good
about
way to
stuff that
pull
happened. Right.
on strengths, right?
Yes.
And I think
That's their strength. Their strength is
A
that
lot
they
of-
want to
yeah.
focus on this thing. They want to
They
tell.
wanna change
on,
things.
They
Yes.
want to gossip.
and a lot of
Yes.
parenting is being creative.
Yeah.
Like, how can I pull a strength out of my child? How can I, build them up,
Yeah.
right? How can I build this up? And like, that's a creative way to do it, right? Like, how can you get a bunch of like 15-year-old girls who love to
Yeah.
go here?
Go.
Like, this
Tell
is
me
the
what's
place.
happening
This
over
is-
there.
This
Yeah.
is
Yeah.
the
Instead of
place,
being
right?
useless gossip, you can
Yeah.
use it as
Yeah.
productive.
I
And
want
how
that.
do you
I'm
pull
like,
on
how
the
do I
strength
make this
that-
happen? Yes, I don't know. I've had this theory of like, I feel like just that whole class of kids is looked like not adults, but they're too old to be kids.
Yeah.
Sure.
And then they kind of have like very remedial jobs that nobody expects very much of them. Like if they show up, like thank goodness, right?
Yeah.
You're gonna scoop my ice cream. That's
Yeah,
all we
yeah.
hope for.
Yeah.
But they don't actually like mean much to society in general, only because of how things are set up.
Yeah.
Like
Right.
they are, I think, an amazing resource that we have like until you're 18, you're not like important enough to do something.
Yeah.
But like, I mean,
And a
their
lot of them are so
mouths, their
I don't think
gossipy,
it's
all of
not-
this. I'm like, this is a resource.
Yeah,
Like,
I don't think that is they're not important enough. I think there's liability, right? Because
Yeah.
like a 15-year-old parent, like, hey, I don't want just anybody telling my 15-year-old what they can and can't do, right? Like,
Sure,
I don't
yes,
want like
yeah.
you to give them this freedom or this okay, like give them this check mark that they can do X,
Like
Y,
at
Z.
work, you mean, or what do you mean?
I think in general, I think it's my job as a parent to kind of help, like to teach them kind of like about the world.
Sure.
If I don't trust the source it's coming from, like
Oh, sure,
I don't
yeah,
want
yeah.
them to be teaching my child until my child is old enough to make decisions on her own.
Yeah.
Right? Like, so that's difficult too. You have to trust the person teaching
they're
your
being
child.
Sure,
Yeah,
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 yeah.
yeah.
Yes.
It's a scary time to be a parent.
Oh, yeah.
It is
You
crazy
know?
too
I
because
keep,
I mean, a lot of them,
looking at
especially
my
in high
friends with
school.
older kids, and I'm like, what do I do?
Yeah.
But in
Yeah.
elementary school, you have more of a connection with your kids' teachers, right? You get into middle and high school, you have so many teachers,
Yeah.
like you don't know them all.
I
You
see
don't know anything
so
about
many
them,
things
you
on
don't-
my stepson's Facebook page, like the middle school Facebook page, and I see a overall consensus from parents saying like they cannot get in contact with anyone from the school.
That's
And I'm like,
terrifying.
why is that? Like
Yeah.
that is so sad. Like there's bullying
Yeah.
going on,
bullying
there's
is
all
crazy.
this,
Where does
and
it
like
go?
they can't even get people on there.
Are they just
Where's-
overwhelmed
yeah.
by people like contacting them all the
I'm
time?
not.
or like
I'm
from-
not sure
yeah.
the reason, right? And
I
you're
feel like
just
they're
kinda
also afraid to
sad.
step on toes. Like they don't know how to solve any of the problems.
Yeah.
It's just like.
It's so big.
Yeah.
They're kind
Yeah.
of overpowered.
But it's
They're
like,
oh.
I've seen people that they get beat up and stuff, and
Well,
they,
and the
nothing
shift
happens.
is like
Yeah.
being afraid of parents and backlash than
Yeah.
like what is right for like the
and
unit
like
of the
social
school.
media, like all these kids just can pull out their phone and you reprimand. Now it's all over the internet, and you're like,
yes, that's true.
I'm
too.
just gonna keep my mouth shut
'Cause
and
what
hopefully
really
this
can
plays
you do?
out.
You just like put them in detention.
Like separate them. Do you have to change schedules? Like I don't
Yeah.
know, but like shouldn't the parents? Shouldn't you rope them in to kind of
Right.
decide? Right? If your kid's getting bullied,
If you can't communicate with them, it's crazy.
yeah,
It's scary.
it's sad. It's
'Cause
scary.
bullying sucks.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was bullied a lot. And
Yeah.
It,
Oh yeah.
oh yeah.
No.
I was too. It
Yeah.
was bad.
I went through my stuff. I saved AIM conversations of all the
Mm.
things I was bullied, and I was like, "Why did I save this?" My mom gave this to me. I'm like, this is bringing back trauma.
Do you think, like, in hindsight though, is it bullying, or is it like teens just being? I guess I don't know where the line is because I feel like
it
teens
was
are like
so,
mean.
Middle school was so
but, like,
cool.
middle
It was
school's hard.
like
Yeah,
the like.
I know. I mean, that's one of my main reasons that I really want to.
Middle school's
Homeschool
hard
for middle
because
school.
everyone's also like going through hormones.
Yes.
Right? Like
Yeah.
everyone's
And
They
their
don't
worlds,
fit in
their
anywhere.
worlds are really small. Like
Yeah.
that's I think that's the thing is like I want Phoebe to have a bigger world, and especially her personality. I think it will help her go into high school more. I have this family, or these friends of ours, that they homeschooled their kids from 4th to 8th grade, and their kids are so well rounded. It's like they had this like kind of basis of school, and then they had them in all kinds of other stuff. They were out in the world.
the real
Yes.
world.
It-
Yes.
during these like pivotal times, and then they went to high school and they were different kids, and they
Yeah.
all went on to do amazing things in college and
Yeah.
afterwards.
Like high school is, you said from 4th to 8th grade.
4th to 8th grade.
4th
yes.
to 8th grade. Okay. Yeah, and then you go to high school, and I'm sure those kids entered high school and they were like, all these problems I don't want to say air quotes problems, but like
But yeah,
all these like
smaller.
nitpicking,
Yes.
bickering, all
Yeah.
this drama and pettiness. It's like there's so much more to life than this.
Yeah.
But if you don't know that because you've
Yeah.
only been in
Yeah.
like public school the whole time, that's all you know.
Yes.
Like you said, every kids'
And that's all
worlds
that
are small.
matters. Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
school, it's home. It's school, it's
Yeah.
home. That's it.
Yeah.
Well, especially middle school, like
Social
you,
life
because you're
study.
there
Yeah.
longer, right? You're like literally there
Yeah.
truly all day. Because
Yeah.
I mean, I get that, especially at the age they need to sleep in.
Yeah.
Like their bodies need that. They sleep in. They go, but then they're at school until like basically 4
4
o'clock.
o'clock.
Yes, and then they come home, and then it's like sports,
Mm-hmm.
whatever, and then they have homework, and then they go to bed.
Go to bed. And they do it all over.
And then their worlds are literally, I mean, I get restless feeling like my day, every day is like that, right? It's like I want to travel, I want to see people, I want to have novel situations. And it's like, I mean, I get that freedom every couple weeks or every couple months or whatever. But I mean, when you're in that school rotation, you're literally in that for
But you're like
10
sitting in the
months.
classroom.
Yes.
Sit next. Go
Yeah.
to your next
Next.
classroom. Go to
Yeah.
your next classroom.
Yeah.
Lunch. Go
and
to
so
your
they
classroom. It's
create dopamine fun in whatever situation
Yeah.
they're in, right?
Yeah.
And dopamine fun is picking on Jordan
Yeah.
or picking on the other kid or like trying to be more, like dress better or
Yeah.
more, I need my hair done better, or I need this done. It's like however your dopamine is coming in.
For adults, it looks so superficial and so just like, oh my gosh. But to them, it's their whole life.
That whole world.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I hope I don't forget that. I still feel like I remember those
Oh yeah, I will
those
never forget
things.
that.
Yes, I remember feeling so angst and so wild and so all those things. Like I remember it just so vividly,
Mhm.
and I just hope I don't forget.
But how do
that.
you help your child? Do you have any advice on that? Like,
Help them in what way?
like if they're getting bullied or they're suffering from something, like I don't know how to help that without overstepping or.
I think too is helping your child get bullied. That's a good question. It's hard. I think a big thing too is helping them develop their sense of self.
Yeah.
Right?
Always
Like
wanna be
how
like-
do you help them gain confidence and build their confidence, and
So
that's
they can't
that's
get
from
shattered.
birth, right?
Yeah.
That's like from
Own yourself
birth.
and love yourself.
Yes, and there's
like,
nothing
it's
to be
so easily
ashamed
said than
from.
done,
Sure,
you know?
sure, especially
What's
when people
wild too,
kind of
because I feel like you were always. I didn't know you, I guess, in middle school, but and I don't know you, like in your mind, right? But how I've always viewed you is like this silly, very confident person that's silly and like happy to be silly and
It's
like
so
doesn't
fun,
think
but
about it.
But
like,
you met me when I went through like so many years of awkward stages. I think it was junior year when I said fuck everybody, and
Yeah.
I was like,
You
I'm
just
gonna
get
do
over it.
me,
yeah.
and
I
I got my
just remember-
braces off.
I just
Yeah.
remember you being.
And-
I remember
I'm living
thinking
life
she
now.
was like so cool,
But I
and
love
like
that
I was
because
like,
that's what I wanted to feel, and that
Yeah.
somebody on the outside was like seeing that.
saw
just,
that.
like,
It's nice.
amazing.
And
well,
reassuring.
because Jordan was like popular. I wasn't
But
popular.
I was the popular like side piece. I wasn't like, I'm not gonna say names, but
Well, I think you were
many
like,
people.
I think you were in the glob.
I was,
in
I
my
was in the club.
but
But
yes, you were in the glob.
But I mean,
I was
like,
like a drop over there with the stoners.
No,
I
but
was,
you were like,
I'm same.
Yeah. I was
I was
like
like,
with the
hang out with
skaters
the- I
over
was-
here, and I was like, look at the glob.
And also the ones that were like graduated already.
And Ty like comes into the high school and he's
Ty
like,
was
I'm part of the glob.
Yeah.
And he's like, you want to come? And I'm like, all right.
Last year, senior year. It's like, all right.
Senior year, he's like, I think we had a class together. He's like, you want to be part of the glob? I'm like, all right, let's go. And I was like, and I met the glob, yes. And I was like,
and here we are.
Is that what y'all were called?
Slobbing.
The glob?
I just made
Oh,
that.
it's like,
No.
wow, that's
Yeah.
a
It's
name.
not a cool
I know, I was like, what is this crew? I
The
didn't
came
know.
glob,
up with
it
the
just
name,
felt
yeah.
like it
I
was
was not
like this,
included in
like the little popular group was
Sure.
like that, yes.
Okay.
And I was not part of that. But I never imagined you being
Oh.
somebody that was like, somebody that
Middle
was bullied,
school
yes.
to like 10th grade was just awful.
Oh my
Like
goodness.
awful.
I had no idea.
That's hard.
But yeah.
Yeah.
But I just like that's all I see in Eva is I'm just like I don't want you to go through that, and I know you have
Eva's
to.
not gonna be a doormat.
Yeah.
She'll be
She's
like,
not, but I
not
see
that you were a doormat.
things-
No, I didn't mean that. But
no, I know,
she's
but I
like
see
so
things
confident.
where like she will get sad, and I'm just
Yeah.
like, I just want to punch children.
I
Like,
think
can't.
that's a
I'll
normal-
go to jail,
Can't
so
I
why
know.
would I-
I think that's a normal part of parenting. Is
Yeah,
you never
of
want to
course.
see your child be sad
Sure.
or hurt or
And that we
heartbroken or
can't
anything.
fight their
Right,
fights.
that's the
Yeah.
hardest
Yes,
thing.
you have to literally let them feel the feels.
And I
like,
used to tell Audie so many times, I'm like, screw high school stuff, just like, you're never gonna see these people again, just
Yeah.
have fun,
It's
and
true.
you can't, and I remember, like, she was my guinea pig, and, like, she didn't do the things I wanted her to do,
Yeah,
like,
no.
she
Yeah.
cared so much about superficial stuff,
But
and
you
I'm
can
like,
only because
Yeah.
people walk their own walk.
of
Yes.
course,
Yeah.
yeah.
But then
That's
there's
what I'm
also
saying,
the
parenting,
like
how do I
emo
do this?
kids that were like, I don't get, like the skaters. I feel like
Yeah.
that's why I loved that group. They were like, I don't care.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but
about any
that's
of these
once
people.
that's like
Yeah.
a liberation.
I'm never
You
gonna see
don't
these people.
care.
I
And that
remember
takes
being like,
time.
they're
Best.
so like these people literally don't care what they look like. They
Yeah.
don't care what they think
Attention.
about.
It
Like,
would be
Yeah,
they're so
interesting to
funny.
like get those people on here and ask them about like their childhood
Right,
and their upbringing
right.
and like
If they were
what
bullied,
is it that you didn't care? Like,
Mhm.
wh-
Or did you
Or
care?
did you truly care?
Yeah,
Yeah.
and you
And
were
you
just
put on
putting
this
up a
faked
facade.
it,
Yeah.
yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I feel like I faked not caring.
Sure.
I feel like
But I feel
cared.
like
Yeah,
so
I
cool
cared
to
so
me.
much.
I feel like,
Like
sometimes-
unapproachable because you were so cool
Yeah.
and like
it was
so.
the autism.
I feel like sometimes. I think in middle school and high school, sometimes that is a protective mechanism that people use. Is you have to
Yeah.
kind of like show that you don't
It's an
care.
armor.
Like, hey,
Yeah.
this is. If you show bullies you care, it just feeds it.
Right.
It
Yeah.
feeds
I
it.
mean,
It
it
makes
worked,
them bigger.
yeah.
It makes them stronger. So you kind of have, even if you care, you're allowed to care,
Yeah.
right?
Just
But,
don't show
like,
weakness.
If you show it,
Yeah.
they kind of feed off of that,
Mhm.
right?
Yeah.
And
Do you think
explaining
there's
that is
less
hard.
bullies?
I think
Ellie
social
and I
media
talk about this.
has
I'm like,
made
I
it
don't know.
terrible.
I feel like, I feel like bullying is different now too.
Yes.
But it's like,
It's not like the movies are not throwing
Yeah.
you in lockers.
but
And
it's
putting
like,
your head in the toilet.
Yeah.
You know.
I explained to Eva the existence.
I
of the
feel like
bloater
it's
mind.
more
She's
like
like,
Oh, this
quiet
is-
bullying.
She's like, no.
No,
Like,
people don't
yes.
do that. You're
the
like,
They
they-
did
physical
that.
bullying. Yes, I feel like it's like more like you can't identify the bullying. It's like they said this thing.
Well, it's
To
on
me,
social media.
it's
They're
not, like,
great. I mean,
physical
we had that with
bullying.
AIM. People would just say stuff on AIM.
Yeah, but if you're
And
playing
you're-
outside, you couldn't be on AIM. Now everything is on your phone.
Everything, and they can
And
say
it's with you in your
mean,
pocket all the
mean
time.
things
There's no
on,
break.
on text on social media because
Yeah.
you're not brave enough to be their face,
Yeah.
and it's just so mean. And then you have to be this perfect person all the time because someone could just
It's a lot of
videotape
pressure.
you getting ready and you look like crap, and now everyone could see, or someone could take naked pictures of you. Like, I don't know, it's just so stressful. I just can't. I hope social media goes down. Like, you know, like the
Well, they
I do too.
I feel like if
they-
it goes down, then I feel like our whole world's gonna go down. I, feel like
I don't
at this
think
point
it
we're
is
so
because our
far
world
along.
has been. So,
I
our
think
world.
it's changing on how people view it, though. It's almost like, I don't know if you ever heard that, like, in Russia, or even right now in Russia, right? It's like all of their news is propaganda, okay? But everybody knows that it's propaganda. It's different than before when they thought it was real news.
Yeah.
Sure.
Right now, I feel like we're kind of in this realm of, like,
Yeah.
we know it's propaganda.
We know
We
it's
know
fake
it's
ads.
ads.
Yeah.
We know it's
We
this,
wouldn't know
right?
that without.
Listen.
Well, but
There's a lot of
10
people
years
that
ago
know,
that-
and there's a lot of people that still don't know.
Exactly.
well,
There's
yes.
still a lot of people that don't know, which is also kind of.
But I think
scary.
our generation
But
definitely
it's a lot
knows
more. Before
Yes.
it was like
Sure.
the news is real and
the
everything
news
you
is
say
is
is
word.
exactly,
Yes.
That's what
Yes.
I'm saying is like I feel like if we didn't have social media, then real shit wouldn't be out there though either.
Because
I think
You know?
social media
Well, TikTok.
is awesome.
I feel like TikTok
I'm
is the
all
most
about it.
is where I get my news.
yeah.
It is literally where I learn stuff. Like I don't
Yeah.
listen to the news because I'll find out shit that I've never heard at all.
There's pros and cons to everything.
yes,
Yeah.
for
Right?
sure.
Like everything you can look at. We take away social media, what are the pros, what are the cons? We
Yeah.
keep it, what are the pros and the cons? And the biggest
think
thing
it's
about
more
limiting
education.
social media is
Well, the
parenting.
kids.
Again,
Yeah.
is parenting. It
Mhm.
comes down to parents. You
But
can't
we
expect
are in an advantage that we grew up semi with it.
Well,
We're the
And
last
we get
generation.
to parent
yeah.
with that. Our parents did not get that experience, right?
Sure.
So they have no idea how to parent.
yeah.
I mean, I literally remember being in AOL chat rooms
Mhm.
with total
Yep.
strangers.
ASL.
Where I was like,
My mom would be like, it literally
well, not just
engages me as a
ASL. I'm
computer
talking
geek.
like,
web
oh,
stream.
ASL. Oh, yeah. No,
Yes.
I thought you, at first you said AOL.
What's
AOL
your
like
ASL?
Yes, ASL.
A
When I
sex
was, like,
location.
Oh my god, guys. I was with a group of people that were a couple years older than me a couple days ago, and I said this, okay? And they were like, no.
What?
I've never, I don't know what you're talking about.
Get
and I
out
was
of
like,
here.
I was like, what? But it was, but they were in like, they were probably 16 when this was going on.
That's true.
Oh, so they're like on the back end.
They
of
were
it.
older.
Okay.
They were just not. I mean,
Because
it
even
was
you
like,
guys are younger and you were part of it.
Yeah.
I remember
Yeah,
having
I always
well, like,
wonder, like,
with
why it
dial-ups. With dial-up,
Yeah.
we
Yeah.
had one
So you
computer.
experienced that too.
Finally, we got a computer and it was in the kitchen.
Mom's expecting
So you
a phone
can't-
call. You
yeah.
can't
Yeah,
be
you
on
can't
the
get on it, and then if you pick up your phone,
Yeah.
then it's like,
Yeah.
yeah. And I remember just, but you're
I
chatting
love
with
that
like
we had
random
those
ass
things.
strangers,
Oh
like
my
in
God.
the kitchen. My mom's cooking right
oh
here.
my god, so many people, so many strangers.
Yeah.
And I remember all of us, like, my friends that would have the first, like, dial up that it was all free. Like, we would get off school and then we
Sure.
would go to their house and we would just be on, like, all these chat rooms. We would talk to
Yeah.
all these random people from all these different countries.
They want pictures and we're like,
Yes.
my webcam
Yeah.
doesn't work.
Yes. Oh my god. And it's like, but our parents did not have any
Sure.
clue.
Yeah.
They didn't know how to parent us with any
Yeah.
of that. We went through all that, and if anything, we went through like kind of the dark ages of it.
Mhm.
And I feel like now, us talking to our kids, we have like a way different perspective. What do we look out for? How do we
Yeah.
talk to them?
It's
All this stuff.
scary.
But
I
it's
feel
even
like-
it's even like what do we look out for, because when we got it, this was like the upcoming of the internet, right? So
Yeah.
we still had to be tethered to the computer. This was not accessible to us
phone.
Yeah,
24/7.
we had to
Now-
leave. Yes.
It's like it's accessible to our child 24/7.
And all these
So
predators.
I can't even pull you out of the
Yes,
house,
Yes.
and you're forced to take a break.
Go to the mall.
You're right. Go be real people.
Yeah.
Talk
Oh my
to real
god.
people.
Fifth grade, middle school,
Middle
fifth
school.
grade, like
The
I
mall.
remember the mall all
Yeah.
the
Yeah,
time.
the mall was it.
No
Yeah.
phones in our pockets.
Well, so I'm
Yeah.
sure you've seen this. You know, there's a lot of talk about how alcohol consumption, teen
Mm,
pregnancy,
yeah.
all this is way down in Gen Z, right?
Okay.
So what they're saying, so like, yes,
Okay.
all great. However, why is that? Because a lot of them are just straight up not going out. That's like, that's the
Yeah.
whole
There's
thing.
a lot of
So it's like,
asexuals.
great, STDs are down,
There is.
all of, well,
There's
sure,
a lot of
yes,
people that
yes.
are choosing not to just do anything.
Yeah.
But it's like, is it because they're like happier.
Yeah, they just don't
Online,
need any
They're
people.
happier, or is it? I feel like, I think that they're more educated, and that's why it's not happening.
Or they just
as
don't want
much.
to settle, and they're just like, screw it.
Am I
There's,
naive?
but
in this?
also mental health is skyrocketed in younger generations.
And
Oh, yeah.
because of-
Anxiety, depression, because they are isolated because of social media.
Is that why, or
They
is it because
get-
it was underdiagnosed before?
No, I think it's because of social media
Yeah.
because they get this sense of they get a sense of community
Yeah.
online,
Yeah.
but it's not real.
Yeah.
It's not. If it
And
was
then they
real,
there to
feel
actually
we
help
would
you.
be happier. We'd
Yeah.
be out.
Yeah.
We'd be engaging. We'd be interacting. We'd be in the sun. We'd be going to the mall. They're at home in their beds.
Yeah.
They're on their phones scrolling from sun up,
Mhm.
go to school till sundown, and that's why there's higher mental health. That's just like through the roof. Like you
Yeah.
see kids younger and younger and younger coming into the office, and
Yeah.
you're like,
And on medication.
okay,
so
but
you-
you're 7. Like this is hard. Of course, there's stuff going on at
Yeah.
home,
Yeah.
and you know, you see that, you hear about it, and then it's like, oh, you have a smartphone. And you're like, what are you doing with that?
Yeah.
Like who, what? Like what are you seeing? So there's
And just like raw YouTube. Oh my god.
Oh,
I
God.
just
That's a
I
big
literally
thing.
describe so we have like YouTube Kids, right?
Yeah.
I describe YouTube as raw YouTube to
Yeah.
Phoebe.
yeah.
And I was like, whenever I say something and it's like I have to go on YouTube, I'm like, oh, it's on raw YouTube. And I tell her how like we could watch something,
And
but
then
there's all
you
these
got
other
to
videos
spiral.
that like send you, and I was like, I
Just
don't
like
want to
kids'
go on
YouTube.
raw YouTube.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I tell her it's like raw as uncooked. I'm like, it's just like
You never know
I
what
tell
you're
her
gonna
like
get.
you wouldn't eat the steak,
Yeah.
right? Uncooked. I'm like, us going on this is literally like us seeing so much stuff. I mean,
Oh, I
even
know,
like if
it's
I go
And
on,
I
I'm
think
like,
it's
oh
a
my
really
god.
good analogy to explain it because my stepson was talking about, hey, can I have Snapchat?
Oh, that's
Oh,
the
yes.
worst.
Oh,
like,
no.
no, like he's so sweet,
I
you know,
know.
so like, okay, so he asked for Snapchat, and we're like,
Because that's how they communicate.
we need to talk
I
to your
know, they
mom,
all
we need to do
do.
this, and I
Yeah.
said, let me ask you, like, what, like,
Why?
so Snapchat is like social media, and he's like, oh, and I said, what do you mean? I said, what do you think Snapchat is? He's like, oh, I thought it was just another way to text my friends.
That's how
because-
they communicate.
Because
yeah.
that's
Yeah.
everyone's asking for my Snapchat. I tell them I don't have it. I need to ask my parents if I can have it, and
And they're
everyone
like
texts.
ostracized.
and everyone
like,
texts on
I
it.
hate that.
So I
I
explained
don't
to
want to
him.
be the mean.
Yeah, so I explained to him. I was like, "This is what Snapchat is, right? Like, you can send pictures, they go away.
Yeah.
You can send texts, they go away." And I said, "Listen, I'm gonna be honest with you. Like, we have to talk to your mom about this, but I mean, I feel like you're responsible enough. I also think like grades is a thing, right? Like I think struggles a little bit with organization, like what middle school boy doesn't. Like,
Yeah, sure.
okay.
Yeah.
So it's like he'll do his work, but like doesn't turn it in. So like grades are struggle.
Sure.
Anyways,
Yeah,
besides
yeah,
the point.
no.
Yeah.
So I was honest with him. I said, listen, like I was on all platforms of social media,
Mhm.
minus TikTok, but and then I had Pearl, and honey, you get hit with stuff, you see stuff you don't want to see,
Mhm.
and you're just constantly consuming information. It was a lot for me as an adult.
Mhm.
So I think the reason we say no or yes when you can have
Yeah.
Snapchat when, right, is because we want to like protect you from that as long as you can, or as long as you can. The longer you can go without it, the better you're gonna be. Snapchat's always gonna be there. Your childhood is not,
Yeah.
right?
Oh,
Yeah.
so
And
good.
he
That's it.
Yeah.
was like, he hasn't.
He's been pressed for it?
I prayed he hasn't snuck on there, right? We
Yeah.
haven't
Yeah.
seen it, right?
I know,
But
that's
he
the
hasn't
thing is,
asked
like,
about
a lot
it
of kids
since.
they get burner phones.
Okay, no. The burn for he keeps up with one phone, and I think that's enough.
Yeah,
for him.
well, maybe not him, but
Well, he
I
probably gets it like
they
hanging
do.
out with his friends. He's probably
Sure.
like oh okay, so you have okay,
So you
so
do
then
this.
so he's
Secret
probably like with
Yeah.
his friends.
All this
So like,
stuff.
I
How do you
hope
do
it was an age appropriate way to explain to him,
Yeah.
like,
Yeah.
hey, as an adult, I struggle with this. I
Sure,
don't
yeah.
want you to have to struggle with something if I
He's
can
probably
protect
like,
you
I'm
from
fine.
it still.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
I'm like
So
stronger
fun.
than you are.
Yeah, but then we
So,
talked
yeah.
to his mom, and she's like, okay, if he gets straight A's, because if he can't keep his grades up now,
Right.
well,
Without
this is another thing.
distraction, yeah.
Of course. So, you know, we're all kind of in agreement. And she's like, he's still innocent. And like, he made, I don't know, she was saying like, oh, he was at my house the other day, and he made a cat disco. Like we had all these like cardboard boxes, and he made like a cat disco club for their cats. And she's like, I want to protect that for like as long as I can.
Yeah.
Like he's using his imagination.
So
like
Oh, I love that
instead
she
of
said
him
that,
just like
yeah.
being on his upstairs on his
Yes.
phone by himself
Yeah.
scrolling,
Looking
right?
for
And then we don't
boobs.
really know what he's struggling. And then
Yeah.
we don't know what he's struggling with, or if he is struggling, because kids internalize a lot of things
Oh, yeah.
Oh, for
Yeah.
sure. Well, because they don't know how to like describe it. I mean, it's
How do
like
I
what how you
communicate
were
this?
saying after you had Pearl, like to not be on it. It's like I've definitely noticed times where I'm like struggling with things. Like I want to be on it more because it's obviously very
Because you're,
calming.
you're
Yeah.
able
It's
to
your
like
escape.
disassociate.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yes.
you're just
You can check out.
Yes.
check out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I mean, we have the conscious and words and life experience to like. I mean, luckily
Verbalize
we
that.
can say that. Yes. I mean, obviously there's adults our age that don't notice.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
yeah, I mean, and then if you don't give those words to somebody, they don't know how to say that, and then obviously it just feels good, right?
Yeah.
It's,
Yeah.
like,
Yeah.
it's
Yeah.
so fun.
Yeah.
to
It's
look
like
at this
hours
awesome
later,
stuff.
and you're
Yes.
still
Yes.
there.
It's
Yes.
gratification.
I mean, we're
Yeah.
looking at different stuff. I'm looking
Yeah.
at cleaning
We're
hacks.
we're
and-
allotted.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're
Yeah, we're
allotted.
looking at
babies
different
and-
We're
Yes.
looking at gym workout
Yeah.
videos.
It's crazy because we're allotted like X amount of dopamine in our brains every day, and then like the
I wish I
constant,
had a meter.
the
I
I
think
need
yeah,
a meter.
the constant scrolling,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Every video is a hit, and
Yeah.
it
I'm like,
turns
one
down
more, one
the notches
more,
of our
one more.
dopamine. And then, okay, like I said, I'm at the gym, I'm laying in bed, with my husband and daughter, and I'm scrolling until they wake up, and then I'm like, wow, that was an hour. I
Yes.
like am traumatized because I've like read stuff I
Yeah.
would have not even seen if I wasn't online.
Yeah. Avoided that.
I'm exhausted. Yeah, there's this, and okay, I'm
How did this
starting my
benefit
day.
my life?
Yeah, I'm
Yeah.
starting
Yes.
my day. Like I maybe
Yeah.
saw a couple good things,
Yeah.
but and I know it's all the algorithm too. But I'm in a lot of mom stuff right now, so a lot of it is like
Sad stuff.
measles outbreaks and
Yeah.
Oh
this
yeah.
and that
Oh
and this
god.
fear mongering everything, and you're
Yeah.
like, okay, like, where do I go from
I
here?
know.
Yeah. Change
So-
the algorithm.
And
Yeah,
you know
of
what's
course.
interesting with that is, so say that you see the same thing. Say you see 5 videos of measles outbreaks. Okay,
Yeah,
your brain connects that with if you met 5 people and they told you about measles outbreaks,
Yeah.
right?
right.
If you met 5 people in real life and they told you about so and so has measles,
Sure.
that would be legitimately crazy.
Right.
Like
Sure.
you would be like, I'm very worried that
There's a
5
lot of
people in my
measles.
community
Yeah.
In my
have-
community,
have 5 measles. 5 people told me this, but
I
you
think that's
met
the key word.
5
is
people.
community. It's 5 people
Yes.
in my community. Oh my gosh,
Yeah.
it's a threat. It's right freaking
But
here.
your brain, I don't think
You
like,
met someone in
knows, yeah, the
Wisconsin
difference.
and
Yeah.
Washington and
Yes.
Alaska
Yeah.
or wherever, all
And
over.
you're like, oh, well, it's not that crazy.
Right,
it's like-
exactly.
and also, I'd be like, how many measles outbreaks happen every year? I don't know,
Yeah.
right? But like now they're pushing this to me because there's people that don't want to take the vaccination,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
So it'd be like
It's all suspicious.
it's all like.
Timing.
But it's timing. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's like they're gonna push more of that because
Oh,
there was
RFK got
this,
approved to be the Department
Yes.
of Health
Exactly.
measles outbreaks,
Yes.
and you're like, okay, it's
Yes.
all right.
But if it was 5 people that were in the room
Yeah.
telling you that there were measles outbreaks, your brain would be like,
It's
I
a
need to
big
worry
deal.
about this.
Yeah,
This is
sure.
something that's a deal. Like it's very close to
This affects me.
my unit.
Yeah.
Yes.
personally.
Yeah.
But it's like I mean, and then you could tell your brain, it's not
Hey,
that
brain.
person lives in Alaska,
Yeah.
and then it's like, oh, well, I still.
But then you
worry.
scroll
Yes,
next,
and
course.
it's like-
and then you have
Yeah.
another
The
thing
next
to worry
there's
about.
another worry. So it's hard. So I personally want to protect my children from that as long as possible.
too.
Because like their innocence, or you're only innocent for so long.
But I'm already seeing. I mean, you're probably already seen it. Like just like, oh my, everyone has it. And you're so mean, and I'm like,
Don't care. I'm not your friend.
yeah, I know. Oh,
Yeah, no.
I don't
I
care
think
either.
I
but
flat
it's
out
just
sometimes
stressful.
think social media
It's awful.
is controversial topic. I think like young iPad children like at the
Lord.
dinner table is controversial. I think it's
It's
controversial.
so hard. I am the
Because-
iPad kid.
Yeah.
It's just like peace. It's
Yeah.
my peace.
Yeah.
I don't know how to not do it.
Yeah.
Because I need her to just shut up and eat.
So just do it.
Yeah,
And it is
I mean,
hard, and there's
it-
pros and cons to everything.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, and I mean, I would say in our family, it's been different periods of time. It'd be like us going out to dinner or something, Declan watching a phone. All of the other kids are not on phones or iPads,
Yeah,
and they're all
sure.
engaging. But it's like he has to sit down for an hour, hour and a half.
Sure.
He, at
It's a
our
long time.
house,
Long
at our
time.
house, he is literally like taking a bite. He's making a lap. Taking
Yeah.
a bite. He's making a
Yeah.
lap.
Dude,
And
that
at the
makes it
restaurant
now.
is
That
not
makes it
feasible.
now, I
Yes,
swear to
and
God.
so it'd
He
be like
can't
us,
sit
but I
down
mean,
and
us
eat
going-
anymore, it's like he has to play and like. And
Oh,
I'm like,
I
"Here,
will
take a
say-
bite," and he's like, and he's
It's
like,
so. I will say, like, as having multiple kids, how age appropriate them moving around. I remember us, like, with. I would be more frustrated with Phoebe. With Dawson, we would encourage, like, we have an island, right? I'd be like, all right, take a bite. Run a lap, take a bite, and he would like eat his whole
But that
food.
Yeah,
comes with
and,
like
like, he ate
wisdom.
out of
That
it.
comes
Yeah, I
with
had no
wisdom and
idea because I
experience.
would be like, no, Phoebe needs to sit down and she needs to
And
eat with
eat,
us.
and you're
Yeah.
asking a little
Yeah.
child with
So-
all this energy to
So
sit.
Yeah.
crazy, and also how their feet sit. They need something to hold their feet. If their feet are dangling,
Oh.
good
it's
to
like
know.
yeah, there's like a lot of high chairs, like they have a feet
Sure,
support.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
So it's like if their feet are dangling, they like sit there and wiggle their
They
feet,
get
and
restless.
it literally like makes them like start to want to move.
Yeah.
And like our seats in our little
Yeah.
nook has nothing for their feet. We
Yeah.
have a little booster seat, almost like a restaurant booster
Yeah.
seat.
Yeah.
But then they're almost like sitting like squat
Yeah, yeah,
at
yeah,
some
yeah.
point, right? And so like it only works for so long, and their feet are dangling. And I was like, I remember reading that, and it would be, I would just be like, just go, just
Yeah.
just
Yeah.
just make run. I
I
don't care.
literally will chase Jameson around sometimes, like, and I'm like, "Here's their bite."
Oh,
Okay.
I also
Take a
got more
bite,
flexible
yeah.
on how or where they ate. It would be like if they sat on the. I mean, as long as there's no dogs trying to eat their food or something, but it'd be
Yeah.
like, all right, you sit on the floor
Mhm.
and you
Just
eat your
eat.
food.
Yeah, it's
Whatever.
fine.
I literally
Yeah.
You
don't
want to sit on the
care.
floor, sit on the floor.
You want to sit
Yeah.
there, you want
Yeah.
to sit here, you just eat.
That's
but
why I like the Food Factory because they could run around, take
Oh
a bite,
yeah,
run
yeah.
around, take a bite.
Yeah.
they need to like
I
move
can
around.
sit.
Yeah.
I can sit and watch it all happen.
Yeah, because I mean, it's like, but then, I mean, as they get older, yeah, I mean, there's no
More
iPads
structure,
when
yeah.
we're eating, and it's like, or there's been times that it's like fun that we all sit in one room and we all watch a movie.
Yeah.
And we're like eating,
iPad
we're all
is, like,
watching
it's
a
way
movie.
different than
Yeah.
Well, because you're all in
Yeah.
different
Yeah.
worlds,
yes.
Yeah.
right?
You're all individual and you're all separated
Yeah.
still.
Yeah, instead
right?
of watching a movie or like you're all talking and like,
Yeah.
and people, lose interest at different times,
Sure.
whatever, but it's like,
Those are. I just
Different.
remember like when I was a kid, that was like my favorite thing ever was having like family movie night.
Yeah.
Just sitting on the couch with my parents and my brothers, and we would always have vanilla ice cream with fresh cut strawberries.
Oh, love it.
oh, you
And,
have
like,
to do that. You
There
gotta
was
do
just
the
like
exact same
it's just
thing.
like core memories like that, and my dad like with his sound system. Oh my god! Like I remember he put. Remember when Signs came out?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Oh my
I
god!
remember
Like
the sound
I
system
love
too.
like scary movies, but he had like because we had
Surround
surround
sound.
sound.
Yeah.
That was like my dad's thing. Like
Oh
he
my
and it was he turned it up so loud it shook the house.
Yes,
and I
that's so
remember
good.
like
Man.
he like tried to scare us. Like it was. Oh my god!
The alien
I just
pops
it's
out
just
of
like
the-
a core memory,
Oh my God.
Like I want to create memories like that.
Yeah,
Like
it's
family
important.
movie night, like Chinese food. I want to do that. I was
Yeah.
so excited for that.
I'm excited. I'm excited that you're excited to like be a mommy. It's so
Yeah.
cute. Like I just love like to watch people be like excited about
Yeah.
doing things like that.
The
course.
memories.
Yeah.
the living.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's how you know people are good moms.
Yeah.
So nice. Yeah. Okay, well we totally transitioned off of like actual psychology things, but
This
Uh,
happens every time.
yeah, no, it's good. Well, that's
I know.
conversation, right? Yeah, it's
So many
good.
interesting things to talk about.
Yeah.
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 Okay, so I do want to know about like certain kind of mental illnesses.
Okay.
Okay. Because I know we briefly
I'm
talked about this
fascinated.
before, but I am like so fascinated by this. All right, so I know you said that you have not worked with anybody with like schizophrenia.
Correct.
Have you worked with anybody with like the what you made the
Dissociative
yes? I'm like you
disorder.
made the
Say
acronym
it
way
so
longer
fast.
than
DID.
yeah,
DID.
DID. Okay, yes. Have you worked with anybody with that?
In my internship, it wasn't like my case, but I was an intern on it. So like I would shadow the therapist. I worked with it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so how we were talking about it a little bit before
Yeah.
about how so like there's obviously or not obviously but typically there's a lot of trauma that's involved
Yeah.
and then people start to like
Kind of
departmentalize like personalities and then there are different ages
Different
and different
ages and different roles, right? Like so they're protecting, I guess the self, the person, the individual in different ways.
At
Like
that
is somebody a
stage where something
protector? Is
happened.
somebody is somebody the peacemaker? Like what are their roles? What are their ages? What is their personality? What's their purpose? So
Do people Do they ever get like out of it, or do they always?
Yeah,
have
do they ever like come back
Yeah.
to one?
Okay, so I know when I was an intern, so this is back in 2017, 2018, the therapy way back when this like first was happening was called, I think, like a reintegration, so like back into the one person. And then they were saying, no, don't do that, because that can also then cause trauma if you're like killing off
Okay.
Oh my
parts of this
gosh.
person. So really what the purpose of treatment was to just kind of integrate the parts, to get all the parts to talk to each other, to be on kind of, hey, speaking terms, hey, we all can work
Do
together.
they talk
One.
to each
We
other,
can
or do
work
they
together.
talk to you to talk to the other person?
I think it can depend. I think they can talk to the therapist, of course, and then I think the therapist can encourage them, like, hey, you know, you can speak to everyone, and then you can kind of explore from there.
Sure,
Can
reminds
they
me-
like work, or can
sorry.
they survive? Can they work? Or are they kind of
Yes, I
just,
know
like,
there's some on
institutionalized?
disability,
Yeah.
and there's some they're functioning in society. There are people that, you know, have this
Yeah.
and they are.
Do they just come out and like?
I don't know what brings
Yeah, I wonder.
them forward every time, right?
Yeah.
If they're triggered, right? And then, hey, this protector needs to come out.
Right.
Like, what does that look like?
Maybe someone wouldn't notice that. It would just be like the way they're.
Mannerisms are
Yeah,
different.
yeah.
Sometimes voices
Have
are
you
different.
seen United States of Terra?
Yes,
Oh,
I
yeah.
love that
So-
show.
Fun.
Same.
Love
so is
that
it?
show.
It's like
Been a while.
that. Like
Yes, it's like that. So,
I want to rewatch that.
so
yes.
good.
Yeah, it's
And
been
I'm
a
sure
minute,
there's
but-
parts, I believe, I feel like someone with DID there told me about the show, and I think they said a lot were accurate, but then there's, you know, like every TV
Yeah,
show and every
sure.
movie,
Yeah,
there's like a little
traumatized,
bit that's
yeah.
like off. But yes, it's a concept
Yeah.
for sure.
It's crazy.
Yeah.
It's wild.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, and I mean, it's also like there's a lot of social contagion, like disorders, right? Like there's times where there's a lot of disorders, or like the same disorder is very popularized. So
Like
then a lot of
Trendy.
people,
Yeah.
yeah, a trendy disorder, right?
Yeah.
And so it'd be like a while ago that was a very trendy disorder. There's
Sure.
a lot of documentaries on it, a lot of people,
Yeah.
a lot of people on Dr. Phil and Oprah
Yeah.
and all these
Yeah.
people coming out. And then I wonder, I mean, do you think that, I mean, I guess you wouldn't know, like, you know, in general, if it's still as popular.
Is it as trendy now?
Yeah, I guess as
Like-
trendy now, but it would be like,
I don't
yeah, I guess it'd be
know.
hard
I-
to know if how real some of it is,
Sure.
you
Right,
know,
I think
for
that's
certain
where
people.
it comes. That's where it comes in. You want to go to a therapist that probably specializes in it, is
Right.
educated on it, so they can give a thorough assessment. Right? I haven't seen it in my private practice, but where I was, like a lot of that population, when I was doing my practicum internship, a lot of them had a lot of trauma. Is it you know? I don't want to dismiss anyone's experience. Is it
Sure, yeah.
trendy? Is this
Are they reading into things too?
Right, it's
Because
like,
I remember
well,
that's what.
And have you ever heard of IFS, Internal Family Systems?
Mhm.
Okay, so that is a type of therapy that was created by a family therapist, and the point of that therapy is saying that we all as individuals have parts to ourselves. Okay, we all have different parts, and all the parts are kind of the same thing. They're kind of meant, they're there for different purposes. So like, oh, I have a part that is a criticizer. I have a part that protects me. I have a part that is, you know, a peacemaker, so on and so forth. So they say like the self, the core concept of the therapy is like yourself. There's yourself and then there's parts. So yourself is like this, your blank slate kind of. You're a baby, you're innocent, you're sweet, right? Like the world hasn't touched you yet, right? So yourself is inherently good. Your parts are kind of things that have happened in your childhood, you grow up, right? So you have maybe a voice that's really critical, right? And then the purpose of this is you want all the parts to be at peace together. And how do you, you know, get those parts to talk to each other? How do you find out about those parts? Do your parts know that you're this, you know, person that throws, I was telling you earlier, oh, I huff and puff, and I tell my husband, just let me huff and puff, like let me have a minute. That part could be 5,
Yeah.
but they don't know I'm 32 now. And you're like,
Oh.
hey, the self is 32 now.
Yeah.
And they don't know that, right? They just do that because that's what they learn and they're kind of stuck in that. So that's a really interesting therapy because they try to kind of
What is this?
get the
Dissect
parts.
everything.
IFS therapy,
IFS.
internal family systems, and it's really fascinating. And when I was doing a CEU on it for my license, and I was like, it sounds like DID,
Yeah.
but maybe on a lesser level
Yeah.
because you
Well,
think
or
about
that
it.
everybody has that,
Everybody
and
has a
then things
little bit.
go awry,
Yeah.
right?
Sure.
Like, yes.
Sure. So I'd be interested to see what the research says
Yeah.
about the two.
Yeah.
Like what's the overlaps, what are the differences, so on and so forth. I haven't
Man,
dove into
people
that yet.
should be aware of this in high school. Like, you
Yes.
should be taught that in
Yes.
high school. Like, that would be
All your
amazing
parts.
to be told. Especially, I feel like in high school, being taught kind of like some kind of psychology to feel like stuff
Normal?
is normal.
Yeah.
Yeah, like it's so,
So
crazy.
normal.
Like if somebody told me that in high school, maybe I wouldn't care, but it would be in me
Yeah.
that knowledge,
No,
right?
I would
And
know.
I would be like, I could sit there when I'm feeling certain things and be like,
Yeah.
like this was created because everybody feels like this.
Yeah.
And like sometimes, my anger is a 4-year-old, but my ability to go to school and like be responsible
solve.
is 17.
Sure.
Yeah.
I have I feel like I have like an angry teen that always wants justice,
Yeah.
role and part of
Yes.
me, right? Like
Same.
she's angry and she wants justice for anything whenever myself is like riled up or whatever. And what they try to say is like the parts within you are what are at conflict with each other. The self is trying to kind of keep the peace. So when you feel peaceful, like things are good,
Tranquil.
but when they're not, like your parts are in conflict with each other. Yeah, it's interesting. It's
This is
really
so
interesting.
cool.
It's
Yes,
really
I
interesting.
love this.
It's a
Yes.
good therapy to research. It takes a lot of training, so there's cons because you have to do, as a therapist, you have to get X amount of training. It costs money, and there's not a lot of them right now, but I think it's like really good work because I think a lot of
Yeah.
people can relate to
We
that,
all could
right?
use
Like,
a little bit of that.
hey, when I huff and puff and I pout and cross my arms and I'm pissed, like I'm a 5-year-old
Yeah.
not getting what I freaking want. Like,
And my
okay,
parts
and let
are
me feel
talking
that.
to each other.
Yeah, and let me feel that. And why is that why is that part coming out right
Yeah.
now? Like, why is
It's our
that?
own little
So I've
story.
gone to a hypnotist.
Okay.
Okay, I've gone a couple
Fascinating.
times.
Okay.
Yes, it's very fascinating. It's very cool. But I went through this one session one time, and I wonder if she knew kind of about this. Maybe she probably
Okay.
did, right?
Okay.
She told me to like look at the different like aspects or like parts of myself,
Sure.
but she didn't say anything about any of this,
Sure.
right? And so she wanted me to look at like who was dominant in like when I was doing well in life, like not just me, Shayna. Like she wanted me to name it something different, okay? And like, I mean, obviously, I don't know if you've ever been under or anything like that, but it's like you're well aware of what's going on, and it's not
Sure.
like I'm like, out of it. or
I've never
anything
done
like that.
hypnosis, but
It's very cool.
Okay.
Yes, and the person I've gone to is seriously so.
Okay,
neat.
nice,
She's in
nice.
Maitland. She's so cool.
So how does it work?
But anyway, so I can tell you guys,
Doxer.
it's
Yeah.
all very cool. No, I can tell you, yes, yeah. I can tell you like the different sessions I've
Yeah.
gone to and all that. But this particular session, I was like under, and she's like making me kind of like view myself as a different person, like to name myself,
Sure.
and then name like the person that I feel when I'm like doing my thing, like I'm in a vibe that, and be like it's separate than
Yourself.
Shayna, because Shayna is all of this, right?
So,
Yes, and I named it Opal,
Okay.
and I just like I don't
Yeah.
know, but I named it Opal. She wrote this whole thing down of all this stuff I was saying, like describing this person, describing how I deal with things, how I view myself, all this. She wrote it all down. I have it in my wallet, like folded up in this
Oh.
teeny
Wow,
tiny
cool.
little thing, and I've never actually read it. But I know what she wrote down, I guess, but in a weird way, I don't want to read it. I don't know
Sure.
why, but I don't want to read it. But it's like
who is Opal? It's your
Opal is like my,
Who you
ironically, my old lady name. Yes, but like my confident side of like
Okay.
me.
You at your best.
I'm in the vibe.
Okay.
Yes,
You at your
I'm like
best.
vibing, like how I am when I'm
You should read it.
when I
Yeah.
I know it's weird. I have a letter that my dad wrote me before he died, and I've never read it. It's like sitting in my drawer. I
Wow.
know. It's like there's a thing of like me not reading it that makes me feel like I can imagine whatever
Yeah.
I want it
Yeah.
to say,
Yeah.
Sure.
right?
Sure.
Because you
So,
don't want it to let you
it's
down.
the
You don't want it
It's
to
Schrodinger's
not
let you
real.
down.
It's
Yeah.
not.
That
Just
makes
make it
sense.
real.
Yeah,
Makes
yeah.
sense.
So
Makes
it just is there, and I know it's there,
So you,
and I can pretend
but
like
the
it's
one
just
in your
there.
wallet, you're like, maybe I'm not as cool as
I
me.
don't know. I don't know.
And it just says, you're a loser.
You're not that cool.
You're not cool.
Your whole
Get
life,
up.
you carry
Yeah.
it.
Can't
Yeah.
help. Yeah. Right.
But
Like
in
all
my
of us.
mind, it's like you're killing
You're
it,
just
Shanna.
fascinating.
Yeah.
On your
Interesting
deathbed,
Opal-
you will
Opal's
read it,
killing it,
and
yes.
you will be like, she was really
Yes.
cool.
No, Opal is the one that like closes the garden deal. Opal is
Yeah.
the one that like does this,
Yeah.
right? And like Shayna's the manager, I guess,
Got
of
it.
it all, right? And but it's a fascinating like
Yeah.
Funny.
situation.
Did
her
she
walking
use the
me
word
through this.
manager?
She did, yes.
Okay, because that's a role of the part in IFS.
Okay.
As a manager,
Yes.
manager role manages like some of
Is
the
that
parts.
Yes.
And there's
Self?
Well,
fire.
so self was
There's-
I'm the
there's
manager.
Self,
Yes.
yes, the manager, and then there's like a firefighter that I can't remember exactly because this was like a 1-hour course, so like don't quote me on that. And then the firefighter roles, and I can't remember the third, but it is really interesting and fascinating because
Cool.
Yeah.
when you look at it from that perspective, like I think it's easier to give ourselves grace and
Yeah.
to kind of like step back and be like, okay, why am I feeling this strong visceral response to this text? Like this is not that deep, but like why
Yeah.
does it feel so deep to me? Like who is trying to
Well, and
protect
how-
me, keep me safe? Like what is this?
Our brains are just so. There's just so much to it.
Yeah.
I feel like we can't just be like, oh, you're this. It's
Yeah,
like, no,
right.
you're just
Well,
like.
And that's
You're
why
more complex
I was
beings.
like
We're
complex,
complex
like,
drawn
word.
to the hypnotist thing
Yeah.
because I almost wanted to cut off some parts, like a
Yeah.
levee.
Yeah.
I'm like, I want to cut off something to like
Yes.
let other things happen.
Yeah.
And I was like, I don't know how it's gonna work. I don't know if it's gonna work. And it was just all.
Did you get recommended them, or did you just find them?
So I Googled her.
Yeah.
I found another lady I went to. I had a very interesting experience with her. I kind of did like a past life regression thing. She was a very older lady, and her voice like really kind of drove me nuts. And this other lady is very calm and
Yeah.
very cool and
Yeah.
very
It's important to connect
Very,
with your
like,
therapist. Yeah.
very smart and very confident and
Guiding
very
you
like
well.
business savvy and like
Sure.
just a
Professional.
I feel like a very professional person. Like I'm like in the outside world, she's not some woo woo crazy
Yeah.
person. Like she's a legitimate like normal good person.
Yeah.
And then she has the and she fell into this. Like she was just a standard like psychologist,
Yeah.
and then she kind of just got
Her
more and
niche
more
developed.
into this.
Yeah.
And she
That's
just
cool.
became.
I know.
I want to do it.
It's very cool.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
Is it
I mean,
like
I guess I can tell you
meditation,
some cool
because I
stuff.
remember I tried to do that and my brain cannot focus.
Well, so
Yeah.
she does a lot of breathing techniques that like force you into like a meditation, and it's like you couldn't even avoid it. Like especially breathing techniques are pushing blood in and out of your brain,
Sure.
right? So it's like inducing. There's like oh my god, what is it called? The transcendental.
Yeah.
Transcendental.
Don't quote me on it.
Transcendental.
Yeah, right?
I think I'm saying it wrong, but meditation. So it's like certain breathing techniques, almost like
Whoa.
what's that? There's a type of yoga. Shit, I can't remember the type of yoga right now, but it's like a breathing technique.
Holy.
What are we at?
Oh, we're at 59 minutes.
Oh my god.
Oh my god, I actually have to really.
This
pee.
happens every time.
Okay,
That
here.
like,
Well, let's close out and then.
Okay. You're
Yes.
so funny. You're like, what are we at?
Yes.
That went by so
Whoa.
quickly.
Yeah.
I
Okay.
was like, there's no way.
Bye, friends.
We're so
Yes.
glad that you came.
Yes.
Thank you for all
Thanks
the
for
awesome
having me.
insights.
I'll
you
come
need
back
to be like
anytime.
a resident.
Yeah.
Yes.
I'll
This
come back
is the
anytime.
best.
Have me
Join
every
our